Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Now, more and more lately, I'm seeing plenty of comments in the videos here, and of course over on social media, with people calling Dillian Whyte the real baddest man on the planet when it comes to the heavyweight division. People are calling him the Boogeyman. Is Dillian Whyte the Boogeyman of the heavyweight division? Now, I'm going to give you everything that I know for a fact. It's not going to be my opinion, and if I do give my opinion at any point in this video, obviously, listen, I'm unscripted as always, I'll tell you, this is my opinion. So again, if anybody who doesn't like Dillian Whyte, they don't like the truth, okay, they like living in like their own little bubble and just want to have a go at Dillian Whyte, I encourage you to listen to all this video, and there's a very good chance I want to cover something that you may want to mention, okay? And again, if you don't believe me, go look it up, okay? It's not difficult. And if you want to argue with me, that's fine, argue with me, but show me the evidence. Don't give me your opinion, show me the evidence, all right? Now, is Dillian Whyte the only boogeyman in the heavyweight division? We're going to have to probably say no. I think Anthony Joshua is somewhat of a boogeyman. It seems that every single fighter who ever comes in contact with Anthony Joshua about a potential fight, they want Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua to buy them an entire street and half a city just to fight him. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you've got a small profile or a high profile, okay? That's what it is. So we could say that Anthony Joshua is also a boogeyman, and of course another couple of fighters as well as. But with Dillian Whyte, there's like a lot of narratives around where Dillian Whyte has avoided certain fights, and they put like their own spin on it, and they don't tell you all the truth. So I'm going to tell you everything that I know for a fact, okay? So let's start off with fighters that people will spin the narrative that Dillian Whyte avoided, but in fact, it's actually them that avoided Dillian Whyte. Now, we can start off with Luis Ortiz. Now, Luis Ortiz, he signed up with Matchroom quite some time ago. He had like a 2-fight deal with Matchroom, and the idea was that he was going to take on a relatively easy fight, look really good, and build on to something better, potentially go fight Anthony Joshua. But unfortunately for Luis Ortiz, he looked bad. He looked really, really bad against Malik Scott. Malik Scott, who Derek Chisora knocked smooth out. Malik Scott, who got hit on the gloves by Deontay Wilder and pretended that he got shot in the head. That same Malik Scott, Luis Ortiz, couldn't trap him, just couldn't stop him. Against Dave Allen. Dave Allen was a prospect. Dave Allen was there to be hit. Dave Allen hadn't even trained. And Dave Allen took him 1 second to go until the final round. So within that time, and again, I know this for a fact, Dillian Whyte asked Eddie Hearn if he could fight Luis Ortiz. Now, this was after the Malik Scott fight. So this is between Malik Scott and Dave Allen. Okay? Now, within that period, Dillian Whyte was saying, I'll fight Luis Ortiz. But Eddie Hearn, because of what happened with Malik Scott, he wanted Luis Ortiz to look good. Dave Allen said, I'll fight him. Eddie Hearn was like, right, okay, so Dave Allen, we know he's pretty tough, he's pretty durable, he should give Luis Ortiz a few rounds, but ultimately, Luis Ortiz should look pretty good against somebody who's had virtually no amateur career whatsoever, and he's still a prospect. He didn't look good. So that's why Eddie Hearn gave him to Dave Allen. Dave Allen was calling him out. He wanted the payday, okay? So there's that one, and there's been quite a few occasions since. Dillian Whyte and Luis Ortiz, these guys were ordered for the WBC secondary mandatory. Now listen to the words that I say there. Secondary mandatory. That means that Dillian wasn't going to get a world title fight for another 2 years as the official mandatory. Now, ultimately, had he took the fight back then, he couldn't have predicted the future, okay? Because it's been pretty much 2 years since, hasn't it? So, had he have taken the fight, he'd probably be in the situation back then as to what he is here now, okay? But he was like, but I'll fight Luis Ortiz, that's not a problem, but you make me the mandatory. Because you've already told me that Dominic Brazil is not the official mandatory. And the WBC actually confirmed that Dominic Brazil is not the official mandatory. Dillian Whyte was the number one. He should have been next, or at least in a final eliminator. They then went back on all their words, everything that they said. And Dillian Whyte was like, hang on a minute, why do I have to fight for a secondary mandatory? I should be fighting Dominic Brazil for the official mandatory. I'll fight Luis Ortiz all day, every day. No problem. They didn't want to do it. Secondary mandatory, which is complete crap. Remember what I said, secondary mandatory, not mandatory. Other times with Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder said, you fight and defeat Luis Ortiz. You'll get me next, I promise you. Dillian Whyte, again, evidence for this one, went back to Deontay Wilder and said, no problem, I'll fight Luis Ortiz. In addition to that, I'll knock him out. But you fight me next. Not Dominic Breazeale, not anybody else. You fight me next. Wilder says, I ain't signing that. I can freeze you out for 2 years if I want to. So again, there's another situation. And of course, the latest one was when Dillian Whyte offered Luis Ortiz, because a rematch with Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora was playing hardball and that apparently. And they reached out to Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz didn't want to fight Dillian Whyte at the O2 Arena as a headliner on pay-per-view. He wanted to fight on a mid-card fight against Travis Kaufman on the undercard of Fury and Wilder. That's Luis Ortiz. Again, there are receipts for this one. Again, look up on Google. It ain't difficult to find. So anybody who says that Dillian Whyte has avoided Luis Ortiz, you've got to be off your mother-loving mind. Right? So we've done with Luis Ortiz. Right? We're going to move that one across. People speak about Dominic Breazeale. Okay, now Dominic Breazeale, that fight was actually ordered. Okay, and the reason why that fight didn't happen was because Dominic Breazeale got pulled out of that fight by the WBC so he can go fight Wilder. Now, they ordered Breazeale versus Dillian Whyte because Fury and Wilder had already been ordered to have an immediate rematch. Tyson Fury didn't take the immediate rematch. So then they pulled Dominic Breazeale in. That's why that fight didn't happen. In addition to that, I had Dillian Whyte on the channel quite a few times leading up to this particular point. And I mentioned about Dominic Breazeale. He's like, I'd love to get Dominic Breazeale, because there was that whole issue as to whether or not Dillian Whyte should be the mandatory or Dominic Breazeale should be the mandatory and this, that and the other. Well, I was saying, well, just fight each other. Then we'll find out. Dillian was like, yeah, definitely, let's do that. So again, go back to the interviews that I had with him around that time. Now, go back to an interview that I had with Eddie Hearn as well, when Eddie Hearn was trying to make a rematch between him and Chisora. And I said, why fight Chisora? Go get Dominic Breazeale. Eddie Hearn ignored me. He ignored it. Yeah, but you know what? People don't really want to be seeing Dillian Whyte versus Dominic Breazeale. They want to see Derek Chisora. This is all about the casual fan base. So, in a sense, Eddie Hearn threw that fight away. How do you put a bit more pressure and priority on Dominic Breazeale? Dillian would have already had his world title shot by now. But Eddie Hearn didn't do that. And it's difficult when you're relying on somebody else to make fights for you. Because if he really wants you to fight Derek Chisora over Dominic Breazeale, because Derek Chisora, both of these guys at the time were in-house fighters, more money for Eddie Hearn, bigger fight, then that's the one he's really going to push for, isn't it? Not Dominic Breazeale. So again, not Dillian Whyte's fault with Dominic Breazeale. Let's move on to another one. Kubrat Pulev, ordered to fight Dillian Whyte for the IBF mandatory. Now, there's a couple of situations with this one. First of all, it was offered to Dominic Breazeale originally, if you guys remember. Pulev versus Dominic Breazeale. He refused to do it. He wanted to sit around with the WBC. So the IBF dropped him. Up next, Dillian, you're next. Dillian and Pulev, they agreed on a fee. But they couldn't produce the funds. Again, fact, not an opinion, fact. They couldn't produce the funds. And of course, had they have gone to purse bid, what would have happened is Pulev would have got 75% of the purse, when Pulev's not even the mandatory. So why should Pulev get 75%? He's not mandatory, he's not champion, and he's not a higher rank than Dillian Whyte. So there's the first issue. Why should Dillian Whyte get 25% and have to travel to Bulgaria? So there's another issue. So Pulev couldn't come up with the funds, and it was unfair that Dillian Whyte had to travel and only get 25% when he's the draw in the situation and a higher ranking. So he went and fought Joseph Parker instead. Joseph Parker, a much more credible opponent. He had just lost his title on a points decision to Anthony Joshua. So did he really avoid Pulev, or did Pulev not really want him? Listen, you decide. But the evidence I've just given you is the truth. We can look at the Anthony Joshua one. People say that maybe Dillian Whyte should have took the rematch with Anthony Joshua. Okay. I can see the point of that one. It's a fight that he lost as a pro. He beat Joshua in the amateurs. Both of these guys say it's 1-1. They want to unbalance the scale. Okay, cool. There it is. Apparently the offer was pretty lowball. Even Eddie Hearn said, Dillian Whyte ain't going to take that. That's not enough money. But they went up to 5 million. 5 million is good money from anybody's money. Is it not? Of course it is. It's great money. But when you're already earning a couple of million per fight and that yourself, it's not that much of a jump. Okay, now, again, let's look at it this way. He could fight Anthony Joshua in front of 90,000 people, Wembley Stadium, pay-per-view, do massive, massive numbers. He gets 5 million. That 5 million is far less than what Povetkin got. Far less than a lot of the fighters get when they fight Anthony Joshua. Dillian Whyte, he knows his own worth. But let's look at it another way. That 5 million that Dillian Whyte could have got, okay, cool, good money, right? It's good money and a chance for redemption. And of course, get the belts. Okay, cool, we can agree on that one. But Big Baby Miller, he was going to get 7 million. So that's 2 million more than Dillian Whyte. When they offered it to Luis Ortiz, again, it's on record, they offered Luis Ortiz 7 million. So that's 2 million more than Dillian Whyte. Andy Ruiz Jr., guess how much he got? Yep, you got it, 7 million. So that's more money that they paid. So did they deliberately undercut Dillian Whyte? Potentially. Is it a case of one was in America and one was in UK? Okay, sure, that's a fair argument too. But it was at Wembley Stadium, 90,000 people. That wouldn't have even been between 5 and 10% of the revenue that fight would have got. But of course, Dillian, he's always wanted to go to the WBC, get that belt, and then fight Joshua for that rematch for Undisputed. Again, Dillian, he said this time and time again. So there's that one. Who else we got? Tyson Fury. Did I say about that one? Tyson Fury. Well, Tyson Fury, he said that he'll fight Dillian Whyte for the WBC Diamond belt. WBC said, okay. Dillian Whyte said, okay. Tyson Fury then pulled out. Now, is Tyson Fury scared of Dillian Whyte? No. Much like I don't think that Anthony Joshua is scared of Dillian Whyte. But Tyson Fury, he did pull himself out. Is it a case of his team told him not to? Potentially. Sure, why not? Go fight Otto Wallin. He's far less risk. You're going to get paid a crap load of money anyway, and we need to build your profile in America. Dillian Whyte is a Brit. So maybe Tyson Fury got talked out of it. Again, look at the recent ones. Tyson Fury, he said that he wants 3 fights. Well, he's got 3 fights left on his deal. He's going to fight Wilder, Joshua, and then Dillian Whyte. Over the last couple of days, he's now removed Dillian Whyte from that 3 and put in Derek Chisora. So does he really want to fight Dillian Whyte? Again, you decide. And there's plenty more examples. Plenty more examples. Andy Ruiz Jr. lately. Andy Ruiz Jr. offered 2 million fight in the UK or 5 million fight in America. A guy who lost his last fight. Ruiz said no. Didn't want to fight in May. Want to fight in June. And again, I know this because Dillian Whyte told me on the phone. And yes, I did ask him, can I speak about it? And he gave me permission. So again, Andy Ruiz Jr. He's claiming that Dillian Whyte is ducking him. On what planet is Dillian Whyte ducking? That just isn't true, is it? There are so many different examples. And lastly, let's not forget Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte's been calling out Wilder for the past 2 or 3 years. And as I said to you earlier about the whole Luis Ortiz thing, he refused to sign something that would guarantee that he fights Dillian Whyte next if he defeats Luis Ortiz. Again, go look at the YouTube channel on DAZN. Go check out that one. That is on there. And he shows you the message that Wilder sent him. He's offered Wilder, when Wilder, his highest payday was 2.1 million at the time, right after he defeated Luis Ortiz. Offered him 5 million, went up to 7 million, went up to 8 million, went up to 15 million. Again, a lot of you guys will remember Wilder saying, okay, we'll put Anthony Joshua on the contract. which again is unheard of. Have you ever heard of that a fighter must be in a contract? But eventually they agreed to it. Wilder's dead now it's too late now. And Dillian's been trying to chase down Wilder for a long time. Wilder doesn't want that smoke with Dillian Whyte, and it's pretty obvious, is it not? It's painfully obvious. So again, anybody who wants to run around with all these narratives that Dillian Whyte avoids certain fighters and this, that and the other, on what planet? I've given you guys the truth. Counteract me on anything that I've just told you. You can't. I've told you the full truth. Do I believe that everybody's scared of Dillian Whyte? No. I don't think Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua are. But I do think that they'd rather fight other people because it's less risk. Don't get me wrong, I think Fury and Joshua would be confident in themselves to beat Dillian Whyte. But they'd rather take a different route than fight Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte carries risk. Anybody that Dillian Whyte fights, whether you like Dillian or whether you don't, believe me, he's putting his opponent through hell that night. And how do you prepare for Dillian Whyte? How do you prepare for him? You don't know what Dillian Whyte's going to turn up. Is the boxer going to turn up? Is the brawler going to turn up? Is the animal going to turn up? Much like he did against Parker, when he just bullied him around the ring. Is the patient fighter going to turn up? Like with Derek Chisora, the rematch. The boxer that turned up against Oscar Rivas. Even though Dillian had all these mental issues and 3 days of no sleep through worries over this complete bullshit UCAD situation. You don't know what to train for with Dillian Whyte because you don't know which one's turning up. He could be coming in there from the first round to take your head off. But either way, when you wake up the next day, you are in a hell of a lot of pain. You're going to have severe headache. Your ribs are going to be hurting. You know that you've been in a fight with Dillian Whyte. So is Dillian Whyte the boogeyman? I would say yes. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.